this is an interesting distinction too, because I think you and I are more similar in that there's a way to divide the songwriter community into two camps. There's the songwriters that are collaborators, and then there's the songwriters that are artists, even if they're writing for other people. So when I see Pharrell and Chad, and they've talked about the collaboration ton. Pharrell obviously is an artist as well. So when he's writing, he's the artist, and you get the artist in the room. And so he's writing a song like Milkshake, or he's writing some of those that were Michael Jackson songs that then became the first Justin Timberlake album. Like, those are Pharrell's ideas. Then you hear him write Happy, or you hear him write Blurred Lines, or you hear him write Get Lucky. Like, that dude is an artist. He's a producer as well, but he's in there like being in artist mode as a writer. I am not that kind of writer. I've certainly written songs about my life, and I've written with artists where there's lyrics about my life and we bond on a story, but I'm not in there like our mutual friend Ilse, who's an amazing songwriter, written tons of hits, also writes like an artist, is an artist making records. There's a distinction I think is important in there, where it's like the artist mentality.
Right, the artist mentality. Maybe that's what it is. You can be multidimensional, but we have to just start by recognizing, if you're going to write popular music, you need to either have an artist mentality, or be in the room and that is very well refined, or be in the room with someone with an artist mentality that is very well refined, that somebody who is willing to define what they think should be popular, and try to both ride trends in the right way and set their own agenda in the right way. And if that chemistry isn't sorted out on the artistic side, and kind of just, to me, you can boil it down to some level of marketing, like how they're going to want to be perceived, whoever's going to be singing this, or how the song will come across. I think it's almost impossible to write a hit song. I think that stuff is very important, like how it's delivered to, especially nowadays, how something is delivered and put into the bloodstream of pop culture is just as important as how punchy the kick is, if not, even like how good the lyrics are. So I think that's a starting point. And then I think the next thing to recognize is just, like, for me, I've always found that, it helps to just write as much as possible and have a lot of options, and just try to, catch it when it comes. And when it does come, I have this really awesome voice note that, Harry sent me of us, like, in the middle of writing, as it was, me, Tom, and Harry. And it's like listening kind of now that the song's out there, listening back to kind of how we're like singing melodies all different, and the lyrics are just all over the place, and it's scattered, and you're kind of like, well, how did we even ever, and I think most people would agree, you kind of like black out. You don't even remember necessarily the connecting points between, like, you're singing like all this stuff, and you're, like, at one point in the voice note, all of a sudden it's just like, I was like, just like I don't even know. It was like I was just on the keyboard, and it just was played, and it was like, then Harry started like helping finish the line. It's just very interesting to hear back the creative process, which I think is rare. I think hearing it recorded, this like kind of original thing, and what it just made me think about is, there's a lot of trust there. Like, you can hear it in our voices. Like, everyone in the room is very just like, let's go, let's be on the same team. And then not only is there like a lot of trust, there's I guess it's just, until it's something that sounds like a record, it just isn't done. You just keep jamming, you keep tweaking. Like, that's first idea, last idea. I mean, all these things, it's so funny saying all this stuff. It can sound like such like tropes, I feel like, because it's just so philosophical and so all over the place. Like, these what make hit songs, it's like, just keep trying. And it's all these like, it's like, it doesn't really have a structure to it that is easy to discuss. But I think that when I was kind of listening back to this, it was like hearing three people who had refined a relationship over years, trusting each other, that just pushing forward will at least end in, literally, like, I think what's a good thing is setting the bar at just like, let's just get things sounding like a song. Like, that's always what the goal is. And then, because a lot of times you can be like, it's all right, and you come back the next day, you're like, this is excellent. Or you come, or you never really understand its value, and then a bunch of people here and they're like, we love this. It's like, you can never fully understand, but just getting it, I think, to a finished good spot, I think is part of it, you know? So
there's something that you've watched the Ed Sheeran documentary, yeah, where he writes "Love Yourself" in the first 10 minutes. I don't know if you've seen that. It's worth watching.
Haven't.
It's pretty amazing.
Awesome. I'll watch it.
But it's basically a documentary of the, I don't remember the name of the album. Somebody in the chat will tell me, but it has Perfect and Shape of You and that sort of thing. It's a documentary of the process of making that album, very much based around his songwriting. But one of the things he said in there, he said, finish the ideas. And that's something that I don't do enough of. And I think it's to your point, which is, you know, oftentimes when you're creating, you shouldn't be trying to also have all the perspective. I mean, maybe in a collaborative sense, like people like you and I, when the artist is going off, you can be like, okay, this is great, but just refine that, whatever. But most of the time, sometimes you're just in the mode and you can't really be the judge of whether something's good or not while you're creating it. So that's why, to your point and to what Ed Sheeran talks about in this doc, is like, finish the idea. Because if I've had this happen before where I come back a week later to something that's half finished and I'm like, fuck, this is really good. We should have finished this. And then, but you're not with the artist, or you can't quite capture that moment because you were all in an emotional space. And if we had just pushed a little harder, and by the way, if I had just pushed a little harder, because oftentimes if it's our studio and we're the producer, it's really our job. One of our jobs is to recognize, like, we're going to push this a little further and get this done, or we're going to take a break because everybody's stuck, or we're going to circle back. Like, making those logistical decisions, I feel like, is a big part of our job. And I've made that mistake before where I'm like, everybody's tired, not sure if this is good, and just leave it 2/3 finished, and then I regret not finishing that last little bit.
Thanks for watching. Just a reminder, all of this content is free. There's no secret knowledge here. There's no Patreon. We don't read ads. We don't have sponsors. We're just trying to build a knowledge base. All that we ask in return is that you share it with somebody. Thanks so much.